Chapter 5th, Square and Square Roots. Square of a number is obtained when we multiply a given number with itself. 1 into 1. Answer is 1. So square of 1 is 1. 2 square is 2 into 2, that is equal to 4. Square of 3, 9. Square of 5 is 25. What is special about the numbers 4, 9, 25, 64 and other such numbers? 4, 9, 25, 64 are perfect squares. They are obtained when some number multiplies itself. 4 is obtained when 2 multiplies itself. 9 is 3 into 3. 25 is 5 into 5. And 64 is 8 into 8. So 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, these are called as square numbers. Not all natural numbers are perfect squares. Some of the numbers are perfect squares. In general, if a natural number m can be expressed as square of some number where that n is a natural number, then m is called as a square of number. Is 32 a square? No, because 32 cannot be written as product of any number with itself. 32 can be written as 1 into 32, 2 into 16, 4 into 8. But here the numbers are different. When it is not like 5 into 5, 3 into 3, 2 into 2, so 32 is not a perfect square. These are the numbers and their squares. Now you can complete this. What is 6 square? Means 6 into 6, 7 into 7 and get the answers. Find the perfect square numbers between 30 and 40, also between 50 and 60. Properties of square numbers. Observe this first row. These are the numbers and these are their squares. Square of 1 is 1. Square of 11 is 121. So now observe the end digits of number and square. When our number ends with 1, its square also ends with 1. So if we find out here 21 square, that is 441. 31 square, that is 961. So whenever number ends with 1, its square also ends with 1. From this row what we observe? Whenever number ends with 2, its square ends with 4. If we find out here 22 square, that is 484 and 32 square is 1024. For next, whenever number ends with 3, its square ends with 9. Whenever number ends with 4, its square ends with 6. Number ends with 5, square ends with 5. Number ends with 6, square ends with 6. Number ends with 7, square ends with 9. Number ends with 8, square ends with 4. Number ends with 9, square ends with 1. And number ends with 0, then square ends with pair of zeros. So 20 square is 400. Now if we observe this table carefully, we can observe that square cannot end with 2, 3, 7 or 8. Any perfect square. Now let us observe these end digits of square. 1 up to 20, no number square ends with 2. Then perfect square cannot end with 3. Perfect square can end with 4, can end with 5, can end with 6, but it cannot end with 7, cannot end with 8, it can end with 9. So perfect square, any perfect square cannot have 2 or 3 or 7 or 8 at its units place. Other numbers can be there in a perfect square. Now just by observing the units place digit, we can find out whether the numbers are perfect squares or not. Here the number ends with 7, so it cannot be a perfect square. Number ends with 3, it cannot be a perfect square. Number ends with 8, cannot be a perfect square. Number ends with 2, cannot be a perfect square. Whenever any number ends with 2, 3, 7 and 8, it can't be a square. So other numbers which end with 0, 1, 4, 5, 6, 9, they need not be always perfect squares. If I write 10, 10 ends with 0, but it need not be a perfect square. If we write 14, that ends with 4, just the end digit cannot say that it is a perfect square or not. But if end digit is 7, 3, 8, 2, it is definitely not a perfect square. And if number ends with other numbers, that may be a perfect square. 1069 is not perfect square although it ends with 9. 2061 is not a perfect square even though its end digit is 1. So conclusion is, if the number ends with 2, 3, 7 or 8, it can't be a perfect square for sure. Here we have given squares up to 1 to 10, 11 to 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, then 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, and the squares are given. Study the following table of some numbers and their squares and observe one's place in both. So observe end digit of a number and at the same time end digit of a square. Now we observe that. Let us find out perfect square. Those end with 1. This is a perfect square that ends with 1. Square ends with 1. Square which ends with 1. Now let us find out units place of the number. It is 1. It is also 9 because 1 square is 1 and 9 square is 81. That also ends with 1. So whenever your number ends with 1 or 9, square ends with 1. Similarly, if our number ends with 2 or 8, it ends with 4. Let us find out that. 2 square is 4, 8 square is 64, 12 square is 144, 18 square is 324. Then if a number ends with 3 or 7, its square ends with 9 because 3 square is 9 and 7 square is 49. 3 square 9, 7 square 49. 13 square 169, 17 square 289. 23 square 529. And if we find out 27 square, that is 729. That also ends with 9. If number ends with 4 or 6, its square ends with 6. 4 square is 16, 6 square is 36. 14, 16 end digits are 6 and 24 end digit is 6. If a number ends with 5, its square ends with 5, and if a number ends with 0, then number ends with even number of zeros. So number ends with 1 9, then the square ends with 1. Number ends with 4 or 6, square ends with 6. Consider the following numbers and their squares. Yes, these all numbers end with 0. Here there is only one 0, but square end with double of its number, 2. 1 0, squares end with 2 zeros. Number ends with 2 zeros. Double of 2 is 4, so square end with 4 zeros. So if we have given 1000, end digit is 0, but it can't be perfect square because there are 3 zeros. Number of zeros must be even in number. The square of which of the following would be an odd number or even number? Now there is one fact that whenever your number is even, its square is also even. Let us find out from this table. Let us mark even numbers. And its squares, they are also even. If a number ends with 1 3 5 7 9, means if a number is odd, these are odd numbers, their squares are also odd. So square of an even number is even, square of an odd number is odd. One more thing, its square is always positive. If we find out 2 square, that is 4, and minus 2 square is also 4, because minus 2 into minus 2, product of two negative numbers, is positive. So square is always positive. Some more interesting patterns. Which are the patterns? If a number is a triangular number means with dots, if we can complete a triangle. 1, we assume that 1 is a triangular number. We can complete a triangle here with 1 dot. Then here this is also a triangular number. The in between numbers are not triangular numbers. Why they are not triangular numbers? Because the design is not triangle. How we obtain triangular number? Here we have 1 star, then we slide it above and we add 2 more stars, then total there are 3 stars, and that is a triangular number. Now these are these 3 stars. If we add 3 stars here, then total number of stars is 6, and that is a triangular number. Now if we shift these stars here and we add 4 stars below that, then the total number of stars is 10, and that is a triangular number. Similarly, we shift these 4 lines above and we add 5 stars, so we get one more triangular number. Now if we shift the stars with last line having 5 stars or dots, and if we add here 6, then this is 15 plus 6, 21. That is again a triangular number. The property is that if we add two consecutive triangular numbers, then we get a perfect square. These are two consecutive triangular number. Addition is 9, that is a perfect square. Addition is 16, which is a perfect square. Addition is 25, which is a perfect square. Addition is 36, which is a perfect square. So sum of consecutive triangular numbers is a perfect square. Now the number lying between two square numbers. Let's consider perfect squares. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now one square is 1 and 2 square is 4. And there are non-perfect squares. Which are the non-perfect squares? 2 and 3. Here 3 square is 9 and non-perfect squares are 5, 6, 7, 8. 4 square is 16 and non-perfect squares are 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 and 15. Now these are the numbers between 1 square and 2 square. The smaller is 1 into 2 are non-perfect squares. Then 2 square and 3 square. The smaller one is 2. 2 into 2, that is 4. 4 non-perfect square numbers are between 4 and 9. Then 3 square and 4 square. The smaller is 3. 3 into 2, 6. Let us count this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then the non-perfect squares numbers between 4 square and 5 square. That is given by 4 into the smaller number, that is 8. Now let us count the numbers. 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23 and 24. These are 18 numbers. Now instead of writing these in between numbers, we can find out the non-perfect squares between given two squares. 100 square and 101 square. The non-square numbers between these two are 2 into 100, that is 200. That is 2 into a smaller number. 2 into 90, that is 180, and so on.